Going live. Come on. Now I think I'm live. Okay. Having an issue.
Oh shit! Are you kidding me?
Okay. I'm finally live. And, oh, right. I didn't set this up. Okay. Set that up. Put that there. And then go back to here. It's my stats, by the way. Over here, and that, and then. Okay. Ready. Anyone here yet? A little punchy after yesterday. Little punchy. Joan, are you awake? Say hi to everybody. There you are. Lie down. Go sleep. You're sleepy too. So I was out in the sun all day at the Smithville Art Walk. It was really nice weather. A little sunny. Got a little burned. A little tan. I've got my late summer tan, you could see. Got farmer tan going. So it was a good day. Met some nice people and sold some books. I'm running out of books, I'm happy to say. So I got Amazon orders coming to the house. Hopefully both before next week. Because I got 2 shows next week. And then the weekend after, I've got 2 big shows. So I'm like ordering books like crazy. It's that time of the year for me, and it's way better than it was last year. I'm happy to say. So I'm running out of books. It's a good feeling. But nothing else to report really at Smithville. My folks came down and bought me some pizza and an iced tea, and that was nice of them. Thanks, folks. And yeah, it was just a nice day. I got to shoot an email to the organizers to thank them. And next week is Second Time Books on Saturday, and Lucille's Luncheonette again in the Pines in Warren Grove on Sunday. Always psyched to go to Lucille's because I can have the awesome breakfast ordered by Anthony Bourdain when he was there. Oh, there's JEC. Hi. Hi. 3 highs, not 4, 3. And so today I figured we'd just go through the trades because it doesn't take much to get this crew going and talking about stuff. And I picked out a couple of stories. Looks like the Fablemans won Toronto Film Fest People's Choice Award, which kind of doesn't surprise me. I mean, look, I have problems with Spielberg. I think he's too sappy, and I think this movie is like hardcore sap. But there's no denying the craft, the film craft of the man. I mean, he's a really good filmmaker, and if you're gonna lean into it hard, and I think this movie really does. So it looks great. I probably would find it cringe, but I don't know. I think a lot of people in film will love it because it's a love letter to Hollywood, really, and filmmaking. And it doesn't look like a negative movie. It looks like a positive movie, and I think we need more of them. Things have been so rough recently, so good on him. He won an award. It's always weird when big Hollywood movies win awards, right? Especially something called the Toronto International Film Festival. Feels like, well, you're too big of a movie to even need the award, right? But good on him, I suppose. Alex Jones' ex-wife says his on-screen mania is not an act. He's crazy, like Charles Manson. I don't know if you have an ex-wife, but look, and not to drag mine in, I don't bother my ex-wife. Like, divorce is the worst thing in the world. It really is, in my view. I wouldn't wish divorce on my worst enemy. That being said, people don't take it well, and You know, and I've heard stories about, not my ex-wife, but other ex-wives who just, to this day, like, uh, for 20 years, you know, they'll hold a grudge against their ex-husband for whatever reason. And is that Anna Kaspar? Anna, what's her face? Kasparian, is that her name? No, the chick
About
from.
what?
Why are they asking her? Why are they asking the Young Turks about Alex Jones? Like, Alex Jones. Oh, Alex Jones. Let's go to the Young Turks. JC. Alex's ex-wife was Anna from the Young Turks. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's not her. They're asking her, though. His ex-wife's name was Kelly. Alex Jones's ex-wife Kelly said the over-the-top, frequently flipped-out personality you've seen on screen in Alex Jones is not an act. It's bull. It's totally an act. It's totally an act. Come on. Yeah, but here with a comment is the Young Turks. This is the Wrap, everybody. This is the Wrap, a website dedicated to film, I guess, in Hollywood. Let's cover this. Let's cover this, because this is so important to film. I guess you could say, well, it's media, but why do you ask the Young Turks? That's just nuts. Big story here. Woody Allen to retire from filmmaking after next movie. My idea and principle is not to make more movies and focus on writing. The 86-year-old Oscar winner says. It's not an act of my heart, damn it, says JEC. Yeah, and mine too. Yeah, so this is, I think Woody's retirement is long overdue at this point, only because, not necessarily, it's not like a statement on his skill, it's just his personal life, you know. I don't have any details on that, but, and I didn't even follow it all that closely, but it's a mess, and really it started with him dating his stepdaughter, right? I mean, you could say, oh, it's not JC, but Woody, why retire now? Why not 15 years ago? Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's 86. I mean, you know, you'll notice Clint Eastwood isn't retiring, and he's still awesome. I mean, to some extent, Woody's movies just aren't what they used to be. They aren't the event they used to be. I mean, he had a great run. Yeah, 15 years ago. That'd have been about the right time. You know, or at least retire 15 years ago. When was that scandal? Can't even remember when it all started, but yeah, just retire. I mean, he would have had the last 15 years to, like, relax. I don't understand these people who don't just relax. I mean, I guess I really don't. So I guess in some level I relate. I guess I'd keep writing books and going to the Smithville Art Walk or whatever. But I don't know, 86, man. It's not easy to make a movie either. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of phone calls and dealing with people. But yeah, you think married his daughter in the 90s, I think. Yeah, I guess it was about then. That to me would have been the time to retire after that move. I don't know why you would do that. It just, you know, you're talking about a guy who's been famous for decades, could literally have any woman he wanted, and he ends up marrying. I mean, like, if you're gonna marry, it's just dumb to marry that young when you're that as old as him, I think. Magic Poop. LOL, did he? Weird guy. Yeah, it's not his daughter, it's technically his stepdaughter. He was with Mia Farrow, and they adopted kids, or I guess Mia did. I don't know all the details. I was just so annoyed at the time because I was such a fan of his movies and his whole deal. Like I would start to read something about it and I'd get so frustrated halfway through the details. I'd just be like, JC, yeah, married his adoptive daughter. Yeah, it's it frustrates me so much. Um, yeah, it just at all the people, and she's just too young for him anyway. You know, I forget how much younger. I mean, she's young, I think, compared to him. What's she in her 40s now, probably, or 50s maybe. I mean, that's a big gap. I you know, just and it's going to nuts. I knew someone would call during a live stream. I just knew it. I cannot. I always do this live stream, and people call me. JC, you go back and watch those early movies. He was a preoccupation with dating young teenage girls. Well, young girls, I'd say. I don't know about teenage girls. You think? JC, he raised her since she was like 8. Yeah. Magic Poop. The more I learn about Hollywood, the weirder it gets. Yeah, it's really weird, dude. And the sad thing is, at least Woody's. Okay, I'll call you later. At least Woody, what Woody did was technically legal, I guess. But, you know, and here was a guy too, keep in mind. This guy was considered like the top guy for like intellectual cinema for his time, you know, at his peak. You know, he went from doing funny movies to doing really, I mean, his funny movies are really good. I really love Sleeper, where he makes fun of himself in that, where the aliens say to him, "Oh, we love your movies, especially the early funny ones," which is sort of foreshadowing how his career would go. And then later he was making movies that were kind of funny, but they were really more, you know, intellectual. JC, the movie Manhattan was about him dating a high school chick. It was? I mean, she's not in high school in the movie, is she? Or you're saying that's the metaphor? JEC, I like Bananas. Bananas is good, yeah. I mean, there's so many good ones. So it's so hard to see like a creative you admire and, you know, wanted to emulate at some level, just do something so so dumb, so wrong. I'll say it. It's wrong. It's wrong what he did. He should not have gone there. You know, he should have just said, you know what? I'll find another young hot chick who's like her but not her, who I have zero connection with. And I mean, it's not like he has no excuse. Like, it's not like he was trapped on an island. Not like he doesn't have money and means. You know, I guess it speaks to his mental state. You know, that he's so screwed up that he maybe couldn't relate to anybody outside his tight little circle of people and couldn't date. Maybe, you know. I mean, I feel like I'm sort of tacitly defending him, but I just don't feel like I'm an objective observer of this. JC, Google the plot of Manhattan. Woody Allen co-stars as twice divorced 42-year-old comedy writer who dates a 17-year-old girl. Oh. Didn't realize she was 17 in that. Yeah, that's a big age gap. I mean, look, a lot of us are guys here. I think we're all guys, you know, and the studies have been done. Guys like young women, but Yeah, I mean technically that's legal. It's a legal age. It's 17, but yeah, it's too young. It's too young. You don't want to date there. JC, the actress who was his co-star in Manhattan, said Woody was her first kiss. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Not good. I mean, at the time when they made that movie, I don't think people thought much about it. You know, when it came out, and a story like you just repeated, JC, is was considered an interesting factoid of the movie. Now, what it would be considered horrifying. I think, especially considered what's going on in schools and whatnot. It's just I don't know. Did Woody go to Epstein's island? Is all I'm asking. It's yeah. I don't know what happens to people, you know. And like 42, like you're 42. Okay, by then you know. By then you know, like I can't date someone that young. JC, people loved Woody Allen too much at the time to go after him for Manhattan. Yeah, but I think at some level it was okay. It wasn't considered a big deal because it was considered a movie. It wasn't considered like JC. Yeah, Woody knew Epstein, pretty sure. I don't think he did, but did he? I don't think so. I gotta do more research. Um, but like, yeah, I feel like at the time it just was, oh, that's just a movie thing. Like no one really felt like they drilled down in it unless he had started actually dating her. Then maybe they would have been a tabloid thing or whatever. But like you're 42, like you know, by the time I was in my 40s, I was like, I wouldn't date someone in their 20s. It's just too much hassle, and the age gap is too big. It's just, you know, and yeah. I mean, they're hot. Magic Poop. I have an alleged copy of the Epstein Black Book. I'm gonna look that up. I don't think he would have gone. He just doesn't. I don't think Woody likes to travel anywhere. So yeah, like the age gap's too big, and girls in their 20s, people in their 20s, I shouldn't just say the girls, but are just, you don't want to be around them. They're too much trouble. Because when you're in your 20s, you do stupid things. You know, it's like you're basically a teenager. You're a slightly older teenager with more money and access. And, you know, at least with teenagers, there was some gatekeeping, right? You couldn't get in. You can't get into bars. You can't do certain things. Oh, we hit 21. Now it's like, and that's why, like, you know, I used to go to improv for 15 years. I would go into Philly and do improv, and some of my performers were that age, or around that age, and some of them would just go out drinking in the middle of the week, and you know, I'd go with them, but I wouldn't drink because I don't drink. I like to stay up late, but like I'm a freelance writer, and I wouldn't have anywhere to be the next day, so I could shut down the bar with them after a rehearsal on a Wednesday night or Tuesday night. They would drink the whole time, and they get hammered, like in the middle of the week. Now you're in your 20s, like I guess you recover. You take a couple aspirin, and you're off to work, and after 2 hours of sleep, like I guess, but. Like, you don't want to be around that when you're in your 40s. Like, you know, by that time you're like, you've either done that or you've been around it long enough, you're just like, F that. So, like, what the hell are you supposed to do with someone like 20 years your junior? I mean, yeah, they're hot and you want to have sex with them, and that's about it. Right? Like, it's just like, yeah, I'm dating this hot chick, and I'm having sex with her, and I took her out, and everybody knows, and then you got to talk to her. I mean, and what's a 20-year-old gonna have to say? You know, like you definitely don't like the same music, right? And people in their 20s are usually obsessed with music at the time, whatever it is. So you're just lost there. Odds are, popular, whatever the popular thing is, like, what are 20-year-olds obsessed with now? TikTok mostly. I mean, that's a whole subculture that's awful and terrible. That's all I say to things, right? If you look at my YouTube comments, all I get is like, your cranky old man doesn't like anything. I mean, I don't see it that way, but I can see why they see it that way. Like, they don't have 20-year-olds don't have the mileage to look back on things and see like what older people do. Everything's crap. Everything's crap, and here's why. So, where your conversation's gonna go, and the only other alternative is the 20-something-year-old is totally enamored with you, and then hangs on your every word because they're just absorbing everything, and so then it's the opposite problem. The opposite problem is they just think, wow, you know so much. You're like Gandalf. You're so wise. So you're not really having an exchange. So, which begs the question, what the hell was his home life like when he first started dating his stepdaughter or adopted daughter or whatever you want to call her, right? Like, what was that? Like, oh, honey, you want to go to dinner? And she'd just be like, yes. I mean, like, what else would she say? Like, no, I don't want to go there. Let's go to this one because I like this. Like, she wouldn't even have that strong of an opinion on things. She just, because she's like 20 or however old she was. It's just weird. It saddens me. It saddens me more than the woke stuff, I think, that Woody Allen has gone down this path. Although some would argue that this is part of the woke stuff in its own weird way, because, like, the idea that the left keeps going and pushing for further and further no limits, right? And this is all in what James Lindsay talks about in terms of the postmodernists, the French postmodernists who are all about, I don't know, getting rid of the age of consent or lowering it to a ridiculous low number. You know, you got to wonder if Woody has gone down that path, because he is an intellectual, seems to read a lot. But at the same time, it's weird because he's also funny, you know? But, yeah, he's kind of not funny anymore. Comedy's a young man's game, and now with, like, how could you relate to the guy? How could you relate to a guy who married his stepdaughter? Like, oh yeah, been there. No, no, never been there. Oh, Woody. You see, I married my stepdaughter because, you have to. That's the other thing. I can kind of do a Woody Allen, and now there's, like, no reason to do it because it's just sad. Sad, Woody. Just retire. All right. Then this story, again, from The Rap, which, too political, The Rap. Ted Cruz tells Sean Hannity transporting migrants is illegal, but advocates for it anyway. So, this is all about, do I have to be careful here on YouTube? I don't even know. All about the hilarious troll this week, which I can't stop watching. The whole Martha's Vineyard thing. It's just the best. It's just the absolute best. The meltdown about Martha's Vineyard, everything about it. Oh my God, it's so great. It's so great. I love it. I love everything about it. I love that the migrants are, like, being treated like They're being treated like super, super well. Although they got, immediately evacuated to like, what is it, the Cape Cod military base. I think some of them got brought back to Martha's Vineyard, and one of the millionaires on the island took some of them out shopping or something, and they're all happy because they probably are getting treated really, really well, right? Because there's only 50 of them, which isn't a lot when you think about the money these people have. Magic poop, so many amazing memes from it too. Yeah. That woman, the woman who, I guess she runs whatever the equivalent of a homeless shelter is on Martha's Vineyards, talking about, oh, we just don't have, we have a housing crisis here on the island. These people will have to go. They're freaking millionaires. And then somebody was posting the Facebook conversations between residents of the island, arguing with each other and talking about, well, Denise, you have a summer home that's empty. Why don't you put some of these people up? It's like brutal, absolutely brutal. It's just what, actually, they called out people like J.K. Rowling over in the UK about their migrant crisis and how they were all these millionaires were supporting the migrants. Oh, bring in the migrants, bring them in. Meanwhile, J.K. Rowling has these sprawling mansions, and they're like, why don't you take in a few people? And you think these people would take in a handful of migrants. Like, if I was that rich, I'd just take in, like, okay, I'll take in 4, right? I'd treat them like kings, help them out. Not too many. I'd take in some. Because then you can't, then I took some in. I bought them a house. If I was like J.K. Rowling millions, I'd take them in. Oh yeah, they lived with me for a while. They're really nice people. Fed them. Eventually they gave them jobs or whatever. I don't know. Put them up in a house. Bought them a house. I'd do something like that. Then have the next. I'm sure she has a guest house, right? Yeah, I brought in a family of migrants. They're in my guest house. And then I'm sure people would still criticize them, but it would be a different kind of criticism. It would be a different kind. It would be like, oh, well, you're using these people as trophies. Well, at least I took them in. No, they're not doing that. Same thing with these Martha's Vineyards tools. Barack Obama, who lives there, I think that's where his house is, like his regular house. He should have stepped up immediately. JEC, if I was that rich, I'd take them in, but I'd really hire them to be my new gardeners and maids. No, see, that would be the wrong move. No, I wouldn't. No. When you got that kind of money, you're worth like $100 million. You think it's going to cost you that much to bring in like a family of 4 or 5 people? It's cost nothing. And you already have these sprawling houses. I assume guest houses. It's nothing. It costs you the food, maybe a little bit more electricity or whatever. But the PR would be, you couldn't pay for that. Well, you'd be paying for that PR. But like Barack Obama lives on Martha's Vineyard. He should have been the first guy to step up. And he was a community organizer in Chicago. It's like, why didn't he step up? Again, he's got millions of dollars. Why didn't he just step up and say, oh, I've donated $500,000 to the relief of these poor migrants, blah, blah, blah. Or just give them all $1,000. I mean, that would have been nothing. I gave these people all $1,000 so they'd have some money. Just walking around money. I mean, it's Martha's Vineyard. But like $1,000 each? That'd be a lot of money to those people. But they all know the score. They all know. They don't give an F about Texas or any of the border states. They want them overrun, so they think, oh, they'll all vote Democrat, and then we'll make them all blue states, and then we win. So F those people. That's their attitude. And, so Ron DeSantis, what a genius move. What a genius move that is. And you can't get to Martha's Vineyards. I mean, like other places in the United States, illegal aliens just walk there. Or they take a bus, but they'll just walk. because they're broke and you're trying to save money. I know what that's like. You know, if you could walk to a place, yeah, it might take you a couple of days or whatever, but if you know where you're going and you could crash, if you don't mind crashing out on the road somewhere, you know. So, and when you compare, say, sleeping in the middle of the United States, some random location, to say Mexico, where I don't know, it's not exactly. I mean, it's not a lawless country, but it's a lot of problems. I mean, it's a lot safer here, I think. Magic Poop. I used to work for a billionaire, and she actually did help bring immigrants in for the sole purpose of being her personal gardeners. Wow. See, that's wrong. That's wrong, I think, because it's like you're essentially bringing in. They're not slaves, but they're kind of close to slaves, right? They're not citizens, so they could be deported at any time. It's illegal. That's for sure. It's illegal. I mean, if they ever decide, if your billionaire friend ever gets into trouble or they decide to go after that person, you know, I mean, obviously she's a billionaire. They're not going to get her, but you could be in a lot of trouble. That is human trafficking, I think. But JEC, more like serfs. Yeah. Yeah. And you spell serfs with a U. Like, serfs. Hey, every peasant, let's get to the waves. Surf City. There's a sketch in that. Yeah. Beach Boys combined with peasants. I think there's a sketch. But God, and they're Venezuelan too. So, like, I'm for the Venezuelans coming here. Yes, Venezuela, because they're escaping socialism, and it's bad in Venezuela. So they need to come. You know, most of the people in Mexico, some of them need to come. Depends on where they live. It's not great down there, but it's not Venezuelan. JC surfs, LOL. It's, you know, Venezuela is, I think, in worse shape than Mexico. I think you'll agree. Plus, they're coming further. And, of course, the Cubans, they're escaping a communist regime. Still a communist. So those would be two on my list. Yeah, I would totally let them in. But, like, you know, Mexicans, I think you got to take that more on a case-by-case basis. And a lot of the Mexican workers are just, they're economic. It's an economic thing. They come here to work for a season. They send the money back, and I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think there just needs to be some kind of process that makes more sense. And I think the process would be better for them too. I would like to think it was more legal process. There wouldn't be coyotes taking their cut. Although now I think the coyotes are out of business because some of these migrants are saying they're just walking across the border. They don't. I mean, like, how are the coyotes going to even make their money? They don't need to be smuggled across if you can just walk across the border. Not that I'm saying those guys need help, but I'm wondering what the deal is. I'm wondering if the coyotes and the cartels who control that action are patrolling the border and shaking down migrants as they attempt to come across. I can imagine that happening. Or maybe they're just charging a toll at this point, depending on where you cross. It's still dangerous, you know. It's still very dangerous when you're dealing with the cartel guys. Those guys, they're dangerous, especially out in the desert, man. They put a bullet in you, just drop you in a hole, cover you up, and that's the end of you. But it's such a great moment that the hypocrites who have pushed and pushed for open borders are now getting their comeuppance. And it's so hilarious to watch the media spin for the other side. I mean, Ted Cruz tells Sean Hannity transporting migrants is illegal, but he advocates for it anyway. See the video. It's like you're not owning anybody, though, Rap. You're just making yourselves look like the partisan shills that you are. And I'm no fan of Sean Hannity. Hannity's a neocon. He really is. And Ted Cruz, he's kind of half neocon, really. Ted Cruz is more out for Ted Cruz. I think, in general, he's done okay in certain areas. I don't think he should be president, but I think he's a good member of the crew for Trump when Trump gets back in. A good advocate because he's very well versed in the law, and that's good. I think if Ted Cruz gets anything, it won't be the presidency. It might be that he might get on the Supreme Court. He's really qualified when you think about it. It's just, the liberals would have an absolute meltdown. But it may not matter in 2 more election cycles, because I really do think, and I gotta be careful on YouTube, I really do think in the next 2 election cycles, the Democrats are in real trouble, and it may get to the point where the Republicans just have everything by such a wide majority. The Democrats are essentially just standing in the background going, excuse me, will anyone listen to me? JC, Ted Cruz is a neocon who is smart enough to realize he needs to act based on to keep getting elected. Yeah. I mean, what he said about the law, though, doesn't seem as neoconish, I'll say. But yeah, his foreign policy, he's like Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro, like, is pretty based on a lot of things, and then as soon as you get in the realm of foreign policy, he's like, I'm like, whoa, stop. Stop, Ben, please stop. Yeah, I didn't mean to go down the political rabbit hole, but man, this has just been so great. So great. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of it, so I would love to see him do it again, but I think he made his point. But yeah, again, you'd think Barack Obama just come flying in. Yeah, I'm going to help these people out, move them all, or give them all jobs in his wacky organization. It's part of his Netflix deal. Give a few of them jobs and then help the others as best he could, or something. Nothing. All right, checking the trades. Woman King did real good. Looks like it's going to hit its number. 19 million as of Saturday, so this should hit 20, no problem. So as predicted, probably more than 20. Probably closer to 24, 25. So that's not bad. It's not great. I mean, and I think now, like, what are you going to say about this movie? Like, they were already saying, oh, bigots are trolling the Woman King. The bigots. If this movie doesn't do well, it'll be the bigots. JC, Texas isn't going to stop shipping people. Yeah, no, they won't. They kind of have to. They got so many. I think Florida can absorb more because not as many people can get to Florida, simply because you got the water and, But Texas, people are just pouring across the border. So this, I guess, relieves a little bit of their strain. Not much, though, when you think of the money they have to spend just to ship them all. But, so I don't begrudge this movie for making money. I mean, people want to see it. Go ahead. I don't care. So it seems to be doing okay. Certainly better than anything else it's up against, but what is it really up against? So you got Barbarian, which didn't look great. I'm surprised it did this well, but this is the opening weekend. So it did. I think it's the opening weekend. Yeah. It actually did more, or is this the second weekend? Maybe this is the second weekend. Yeah, I think it is. Pearl is number 3. I thought Pearl would do better, but I'm glad it's in the top 5. So it looked good. Worst title ever? Yeah, The Woman King. I hate that title. It's just dumb. Women aren't kings. Please stop trying to make it a thing, Hollywood. See How They Run. This is what's his face? Sam Rockwell. So this movie I want to see, and so I'm kind of bummed it's not doing better, because it looks really good. Looks really good. I haven't seen it. I don't think I'll be able to see it today, but I hope it hangs around for a couple of weeks so I can see it. And then Bullet Train's still hanging on at 5, but Bullet Train should have been number 1 if it had done as well as, you know, the money. Oh, and Top Gun still hanging on at 6. DC League of Super Pets, The Invitation, Minions still in the top 10, and Moon Age Daydream. Oh, that's that Bowie movie. Yeah, I mean, it's only in 170 theaters. Oh, it's well, for being in 170 movie theaters, it's doing kind of well. And Brahmaster Part 1, Shivo, that was number 1 last week. It's crazy. But yeah, and they were crying on and on. Well, this is The Woman King. Trolls are going to ruin this movie, blah, blah, blah. Well, Trolls didn't ruin the movie. It did good, so. Were there trolls? Were there trolls? JC, they put out a movie called The Woman King. Is what Elizabeth died for? Yeah. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. And the whole racism angle is also dumb, because obviously it didn't work. And obviously, I think it was AstroTurf by the LA PR companies that handle this stuff. JC, I kind of want to see the Bowie documentary. I've been on a Bowie kick lately. Yeah, I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's going to have great footage in it. And, you know, I just love the music, so I would totally sit through that movie too. I don't know if I'd go to the theater for it, because I'm sure it'll be streaming somewhere soon. Oh my God, people are still calling me. Answer you later. But good on her. But, you know, it doesn't follow. Part of it, though, it doesn't follow The Woman King, doesn't follow reality. And I think that's going to ultimately get them a little backlash if the movie continues to do well, because then people are going to look it up and be like, well, this isn't what happened. And that's kind of annoying to me. You know, it's kind of annoying when you go and look up a movie that's supposed to be based on historical events, and then, yeah, it wasn't. It's like, why don't you just make a fictional movie if you want to do this? If you want to do a movie about a female African queen, she should have been called the queen of the Nile or whatever. You know, killing slavers. It could have been set in that world, and it would have been, I think, more valid. But, it's doing well. I don't begrudge them for making some money, I suppose. Lady Gaga halts Miami concert due to lightning. I don't want to put your life in danger. Good for you. I wholeheartedly endorse this. And Lady Gaga's shutting down of the concert. Don't mess with lightning. I'm telling you. I told you the story of my cousins all getting struck by lightning, and then a family friend who died. It's no joke. It starts rumbling. Get the hell inside. JEC should have been called the Queen of War or something. Yeah, that would have been a good title. Queen of War, or I don't know, something something based on. I mean, the tribe I think is called the Dahomey. Queen of the Dahomey. Probably not good. Queen of War is pretty good. Um, yeah, it's just, and then to spout racism before the damn movie even comes out. Now the movie's done well. Now you look like a bunch of a-holes. Fire breaks out at Hollywood Bowl as Sound of Music sing-along ends. What? What? JC, my uncle got hit by lightning twice. He was fine. LOL. Wow. He's lucky. I'm sure he wouldn't want to do it again. Magic Poop, that's crazy. My friend's dad was struck 3 times but survived well into his 80s. Wow. That's... I know. I used to hear stories like that too, and then I'll tell this story. I told it before, but I'll tell it again. All right, so it's not a happy story, but it is a crazy story. So a friend of the family, who in an Italian family, you're like family if you're a friend of the family, basically. So my cousins are all sitting outside, and it's starting to rumble. And this one dude he's the next door neighbor to my cousin, and again, friend of the family. And they're all hanging out, and it starts to rumble, and people are like, "Oh, come in," and they're like, "Yeah, they're coming in eventually, but they're dragging their feet." So lightning hits. It like hits the ground, goes up a tree, comes up under the ground, and hits all 5 of them. My 4 cousins all shake it off. He doesn't get up. My one cousin is he's in the medical profession, so he immediately starts doing CPR. Never wakes up. He dies. He was in his 40s, well loved by the community. I mean, his funeral was insane. It was absolutely insane because nobody expected him to die. He wasn't sick, anything like that. Well, his father, this guy's father, was struck by lightning too and killed. And about 40 years prior, I guess. No, yeah, about 30, 40 years prior. And the circumstances were different. He was out on a fishing boat out in the water, and it got rumbly, and he was holding a knife, and he got hit. But he died of lightning too. So that, almost to the day, it was crazy. It was on the news. So yeah, that's why I'm very anti-lightning. I don't mess around. I hear the rumbles. I'm like, I'm done. See ya. Yeah, so fire breaks out at Hollywood Bowl just as Sound of Music sing-along ends. The hills are alive with the sound of music. Oh crap. Oh crap. The place is on fire. Magic Poop, holy crap, that's eerie. I know. It's messed up. It's just like, Now imagine being his son. Thinking to yourself, the next time you're outside and it starts to rumble, I better get inside. Yeah, don't mess around with lightning. It's just no reason for it. It just, yeah, I mean, there are people who survive, but it's just, he didn't wake up. And, I mean, it could have killed all my 4 cousins as well. And they weren't like, my cousins weren't, a couple of them were older than him, So, my one cousin's younger, and then I think the other 3 were older. And my dad had just gone inside, so, and he's a hardhead. He would have stayed outside until the bitter end, but I don't know, he went inside for some reason, and then, so he didn't get hit. Fortunately, he wasn't there. Like, when it hit, he ran outside afterwards. So weird that the Hollywood Bowl caught on fire. That's weird. But nothing much else going on in Variety. There's Woody announcing his retirement. So, the weird thing too about Woody's retirement, to circle back, is I'm wondering if now he's going to do all the behind-the-scenes Hollywoody type interviews on his way out that he never did before. That'll be weird if he starts doing those. And then people, because he used to snub all that stuff. He never would go to the Oscars. And so, it's going to be weird if he starts doing those interviews. Checking with the Hollywood Reporter. Fablemans, Woody Allen, all the same stuff. The Woman King. U.S. TV News Network scrambled to cover the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. Did anybody watch that? I didn't watch it. I mean, I've seen some of the pictures. Looks like nothing crazy happened. Although the Daily Mail, man, they cover every friggin' little aspect of the Queen's and the royal family. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I'm sure everybody in the UK is used to that. But it must be turned up to like 10. Other than Prince Charles seemingly having problems with his hands, he seems to be doing okay. I don't think he's done anything embarrassing yet. JC, I think the funeral is tomorrow, actually. Oh, okay. Yeah, I wonder if I'm worried if Biden is going to embarrass us somehow. But hopefully he'll be on a short leash. It's a good excuse for Jill to just hold his hands and drag him around. But seems like Charles is doing okay. I think if he just Magic Poop. Nah, but I watched the movie London Has Fallen in tribute. JC, King Charles. Yeah, I think if King Charles is like, if he just, doesn't do anything embarrassing for his reign, he doesn't have to do anything major. He just has to, like, not do anything stupid. He could go out with, like, a decent record, not a great one, because I think he embarrassed the family a bunch of times in the past, but at least if from now until the end he kind of does his job. But it sounds like he's already gotten too political. JC, Biden will probably fall asleep during the funeral. Yeah. In his defense, I probably would. It's probably going to be boring. I mean, not to watch, but to be in it. It's probably hours of standing around, sitting around. I mean, funerals tend to be kind of boring. It's a mixed bag for me when I go to a funeral. I'm always so, on one hand, I'm not super religious, and I'm not really religious at all. But, like, I'm desperately trying not to embarrass the family when I go to these things. And I'm constantly paranoid I'm going to do something stupid or say something to embarrass people. And so I'm always, on the one hand, I'm bored, and the other hand, it's very tense. And then I just want to make sure I just get through it to the end. Magic Poop, what's the over and under on how many people he'll sniff when he goes? I don't know. I think wouldn't it be amazing if he did something like that? Like if he sniffed some of the royal family kids or something? I wonder what their reaction will be, because they could react. I wonder if they'll, like, pull the kid away or something like that. I'll put the over and under at 0 and 2. If he gets close to those kids, he'll sniff them. Yeah, if he gets the opportunity, he'll sniff away. But I don't think he'll get the opportunity. I think he'll be too busy dealing with people. And quite frankly, I think he's a little too far gone for that. I think he's really gone at this point. I think he's just sort of barely holding it together. Trying to do something like that at this point, I don't even know if he could pull it off anymore without falling over or saying something or doing something too much. I mean, like, at least 5 to 10 years ago, he kind of was holding it together. Now it seems like every time he speaks, he just goes off the map, and you're just like, oh, dude, stop, someone stop him, someone stop Grandpa, he won't stop. Someone just shut him up. I mean, even Jill Biden, I think in one speech, she kind of ran out there to stop him. Yeah, he's just gone, man. But at this point, I mean, we got 2 months until the election will be over, and then it's going to be really interesting. Once they know they're going to lose Congress, it could get very interesting in those last 2 months, a little less than 2 months. Hopefully, they'll just give up and start making plans for, I don't know, probably making plans for Kamala to take over by January, because I think Biden will have to leave. I think the plan is to do as much of their crazy damage, whatever you want to call it, whatever their friggin' plan is now, to do as much as that as possible before the end of the year. And then the moment the new Congress is sworn in and the Republicans are scrambling, we got to impeach Biden and we got to do all these investigations, they'll just go, oh, Joe Biden's going to retire. You know, he's non-compos mentis, and he's just going to retire. And now Kamala's president. And then the moment they continue, if they continue to investigate, which I think they will, the media tact will be, you're investigating an old man. He's no longer mentally capable. They'll turn right on him and just call him completely mental. And you'll just see Biden disappear. He'll just go back to Delaware, and that's it. He'll be in a wheelchair with the shawl on his legs and a straw hat, and they'll be wheeling him around like a. He'll go from like, oh, he's the president of the United States. He's so virile and fit. Look at him go up to that podium all by himself. Look at him go up the steps in the Air Force One. Oh, look at the president go. And then it'll be the exact opposite. He won't be able to go anywhere without a wheelchair. He won't be driving. He won't be doing nothing. They will keep him in that house. And I think they'll unplug him in terms of whatever drugs they've been putting him on to keep him mildly, you know, what is the word? Lucid, right? That all those drugs, that'll be it. That they'll take him off those drugs, because then they'll want him. They'll want him as loopy as possible. So, you know, if the Republicans, you know, investigate him, they could just keep pointing to incidents where Joe Biden is just breaking down. So the idea being that, oh, you got to give up the investigation because he's so old and broken. This is pointless. It's cruel. It's cruel to go after Joe Biden. He's in his final days, and you shouldn't attack him. And I think Biden would totally go along with that, even if he's not. I mean, he's not. I don't think he'll be lucid, but I think in his lucid moments he'll be like, yeah, no, this way they can't attack me. And then I don't know what's going to happen with Kamala. I think she will be president. I do. But I don't think they'll be able to control her as much as the people who control Biden think they can. I really don't. And in fact, some people say she's very, very dangerous. I don't know. I think she'll just be overwhelmed and spend months trying to figure out where the levers of power on and who's really kind of on her side. I mean, even Trump did that, and Trump is a guy who's super shrewd in that realm. I don't think Kamala Harris is shrewd at all when it comes to that. Maybe a little bit, but I think the assumption is on her part, yeah, there's some of that, but ultimately they listen to me because I'll be the president. And then, no, they're gonna 4D chess her into a corner a bunch of times before she starts figuring out, oh, wait, I can't do this. I have to, you know, and she's going to have to go through what Trump did. There'll be a lot of advisors who are, you know, giving her advice for them or the people they represent, but not for her. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I think at that point, their wacky plans to destroy America grind to a halt blissfully. And but I think by that point, yeah, it's gonna be bad economically here. I'm not sure the gas situation's gonna be bad. I'm not sure what they're gonna do then. Hopefully Congress then can like force in a bunch of energy stuff that could turn the boat around. But and hopefully that's, sometime around December is rock bottom, and then a rough couple of months, and then things start coming back. But I think it'll take longer than that. I think we're in for a rough winter, and then maybe by spring things start to kind of sort of turn around, or maybe they're not as bad. I don't know. I'm getting into political stuff. Sorry, I went down that rabbit hole. Anyhow, getting back to the important things in life. Movies. James Cameron talks Avatar re-release and the resurgence of the movie-going experience. Where? Who's going to the movies? I mean, last week, nobody went to the movies, really. I don't think people are coming out for Avatar. I don't know, man. I thought this movie was complete ass. I really did. I did not. I love Terminator 2, but I hated Avatar. I absolutely hate it. Every frame of that movie annoys me. I mean, yeah, the effects are cool, I guess, but so what? The story is... I hate the story. Hate it. It's just the most derivative, dumb... It is Dances with Smurfs, in my view. Just like South Park said. Dances with Smurfs. So, I don't need that. I don't need Avatar in my life. Oh, and this was another thing I said yesterday. She-Hulk article. She-Hulk article. They are really trying to make She-Hulk a thing, aren't they? This is Hollywood Reporter. She-Hulk director Anna Valia says Marvel is not the huge machine you think it is. Oh, poor little Marvel. Poor little Disney. Oh, it's not a huge thing. Oh, it's only the biggest media company in the world. Whoa, you would be surprised. I don't think I would be. I don't think I would be surprised at all. Because I knew people who worked at Disney, and they had budgets for the candy in the office. And it was hundreds of dollars to have artisan candy just in the office. Just in the off chance that someone came into your office and they wanted some artisan candy. I wrote about that in Hollywoke, another novel. And She-Hulk star Jamila Jamil reprised her villain role in recent night out in New York City. I'm not sure what this article really means, but it feels just like, oh, we got to do another article about She-Hulk somehow and keep talking about it to get people to watch this thing. Because they got to prove the bigots wrong. Yeah, I don't think you're going to do that with She-Hulk. And again, the most amazing thing to me is how the YouTubers they're all stopping their reviews of the show. As big of a train wreck as it is, they're kind of like, at this point, like, it's just too sad and they can't watch it anymore. I mean, that's amazing to me that they reached that point. Like, some of them bailed at 4. And these are people who, like, normally slog through an entire series as bad as one like this is, and they just can't even watch it anymore because it's just that bad. It's worse to be boring than bad, and this show, I think, is both. Between the CGI, the feminism, and the usual, like, oh, let's all call the fans a bunch of a-holes. I mean, who is this movie for, other than the people, TV show for, other than the people who made it, maybe, and not even, because they feel like they're checked out too. The woman who wrote the Pickle Rick episode, you think she could have written something halfway decent for the show. Something. But man, they are not doing well. Couldn't happen to nicer people. And finally, let's check in with Deadline. If it loads, there we go. Pretty much the same headline. Woman King, Spielberg. Here's Moon Age Daydream on Rocks. Rocks on IMAX. Ooh, that would be a good thing to see. That movie in IMAX, David Bowie in IMAX. Yeah, that would be. What's an IMAX movie cost these days? What, about $25? Um, and Post Malone, injured in concert stage fall, returns to finish show after brief delay. Suffered injuries to his ribs. Oof. Oof. He tripped on an uncovered hole in the stage which used to lower equipment. He laid on the stage for several minutes after the fall. Wow. That's no joke when you hurt your ribs either. Oof. But that's bad, man. How does that happen? On a stage, an operating stage, someone effed up. Someone effed up big. Performing like that, you hurt him in the middle of a show. Somebody's head should roll. That's about it, I think. Yeah, it's all the same headlines. Okay, so Woody Allen's final movie is Wasp 22. Okay, what the hell is Wasp 22? That's a weird name for him. It's a weird ending. Wasp 22. I gotta hear what this movie's about. Does he say? It's to be filmed in Europe. Oh, wait. Here's some weasel words. My idea, in principle, is not to make any more movies and focus on writing. I don't know. His next thing is a novel. I used to like Woody Allen's books. His old books are funny. Oh, here's Joe Biden arriving in London for Queen Elizabeth II funeral amid guest list controversy. Look at him. This isn't a recent pic, obviously, because Queen Elizabeth's there, but oh boy. JC, Woody made a lot of movies with weird titles. Yeah, but like, I don't know, Wasp 22, it just seems so industrial for him. You know, the Purple Rose of Cairo, that, you know, it's Hannah and her sisters. I mean, like, Wasp 22, it seems like a movie A24 would make about a dystopian future where the wasp, you know, they're the last resistance before the AIs destroy us all or something. Just doesn't seem like a Woody Allen movie. You know, it's just, I don't know. Seems weird. So I guess there's some controversy about the invites to the funeral. While many of the 500 names of heads of state and foreign dignitaries are expected, there are some names that have caused a diplomatic headache. Representatives from Russia, Belarus, Myanmar, Syria, Venezuela, and Afghanistan have not been invited, while Iran, North Korea, and Nicaragua have only been invited to send ambassadors instead of heads of state. China President Xi Jinping was invited, but it will be his Vice President Wang Qishan who attends in his place. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed met the Queen in 2018 and is on the guest list despite ongoing questions into the death of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. The Crown Prince has denied accusations, blah, blah, blah. Justin Trudeau has already paid his respects to the Queen at her lying-in state in London and signed a book of condolence at Lancaster House. New King Charles III will host a formal state reception and the international guest this evening at Buckingham Palace. JC, Woody made a lot. Oh, no. JC, Purple Rose of Cairo was a good one. Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it wasn't bad. So yeah, that's about it. That's about it this slow Sunday. So I'm gonna wrap it here because man, people won't stop calling me and texting me. JEC, it could be about a woman who is a WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and she's 22. Yeah, and Woody shacks up with her, and then ends up marrying her. That would be a gap. Do you think he's learned his lesson by now? Do you think, like, if he got divorced, you think he'd be like, I can start dating like Leonardo DiCaprio, you know, Gotta start dating girls in their 20s. Like, I mean, it'd just be, like the only one to me who should have been getting away with that kind of stuff was Hugh Hefner, right? Because it was all a joke anyway. Like, he wasn't really dating those women. They were basically his employees, right? He was, I don't know, he was in his 80s, banging like, Playboy models, and but like that was the Playboy lifestyle. He had to live it. He had to have sex with those women. I contend Hugh Hefner had to have sex with those women, or else what was he? What was he? And now every playgirl or Playboy centerfold has come out and said, "Oh, it was terrible." Yeah, no kidding. It's an 80-year-old man. JC, he's 86. I saw a video of him recently. He's too old to date anyone new. You say that. I don't know. I'm 56 and I'm still on the dating sites for some odd reason. It's awful though. Dating is awful. Really is. It's just and the people you talk to. They when it comes to dating sites on these apps, I initially they were cool. When the internet was young, the dating apps, well, they weren't apps, it was just like websites. It worked. It really worked. Because it was a different pool of people. It was only the people who were savvy enough to be on the internet at that time, and that wasn't everybody. Now every moron's on the internet, and they're so insufferable. Ugh. Between the Ukraine flags and the virtue signaling and all the politics. I mean, people put politics in their dating profile, and I can't for the life of me figure out why, because it's such a turnoff. It's like, what? If you voted for Trump, swipe left. Like, I can't do it fast enough. You can't be hot enough to overcome a statement like that for me. That you're going to say stuff like that. Because I know if, the wheel turns and different things become popular, you'd say the exact opposite thing. Because the only reason you're saying it is not because you're politically into it. It's because you want to look good on your profile. So you're saying the thing that you think makes you look good. And so many people do that. And it's so awful. So awful. Anyhow, this old man has got to wrap it here. So final thoughts, guys. Thanks for tuning in. So Hollywood. I'd go see, what's the name, by the way? Because I think it's going to be a good movie. See how they run. I want to see this movie do good, but, I mean, $3 million. I hope it stays in theaters long enough to maybe pick up some steam. JC, now I got to find a chick who hasn't had certain medical procedures. Oh, yeah, that too. And, if they say the whole Trump thing, they probably had. These people put it on their profiles, too. That's on Tinder. Vaccinated. Sweep. It's like, okay, I don't want to deal with you. Not at my age, because, that could cause some issues. But yeah, people are still doing that. I'm still seeing people in masks. Oh, it drives me crazy. When I'm outside at a show, and most of my shows these days are outside, bright sunlight, beautiful day, wind, gentle breeze blowing. Like, there's no way in hell, unless you're deathly ill, that you should be wearing one of these masks, in my view. People wearing masks. People wearing 2 masks. 2 masks still. It's maddening to me. I just want to, especially if they're young. Like, if they're old, I kind of go, well, they're scared, right? Older people, if you're really old, I get it, you're scared. Although I saw some older people yesterday. They weren't wearing masks. But I saw this young kid wearing a mask, and I just wanted to go, take it off. Give me that mask. And then run away with the mask. JC, I still want kids. They had procedures, so they probably can't. I don't know if the jury's totally out on that, but that's a I've heard things like that. I don't know if that's 100%, but maybe. I mean, it's definitely something to be worried about. And the other thing is too, I think, I can't go too far down this rabbit hole, but I think people without a certain medical procedure, their blood is going to be highly valuable, I think, in possibly treating people in the not too distant future, or just having it instead of having somebody else's who may have had a certain medical procedure. That's about all I'll say. Can't really get into it. I got into it at the show though, with one of the fans. He bought a book, so but we ended up talking and talking, and man, we went down some rabbit holes there. So, and he really knew some stuff, but you know, I couldn't validate it all in my head, and after a while, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if everything he's saying is true, but sounds pretty good. JC, it'll probably be a lot harder for them now to have kids, if at all. It's looking like, afraid to say, yeah. It seems this certain medical procedure can affect women more than men. But yeah, I have a theory that now. So the let's see, how can I word this? So my theory is, they say, I think every 7 years, your body churns out enough cells to replace the cells in your body or something. Is that how it works? Something like that, where you basically replace all the cells in your body in 7 years, I think it is. I want to say the time frame is like 7 years. That basically all the cells in your body are just replaced over a period of time. Or at least the majority of them are, or enough of them. Obviously, maybe not your brain cells, but so I'm thinking that is sort of the time period it'll take before a certain medical procedure is mostly irrelevant to the people who took it. I hope. In terms of the downsides of that certain medical procedure. Anyway, I better stop talking about this. I'm gonna wrap. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully, my live stream won't be flagged on YouTube's. Remember, YouTube, we just talked about movies. Everything I said was all part of a screenplay I'm working on. I'll be doing some videos later. I think I gotta wash my windows and mow my lawn. See you in the next